Hey humans, Batsy here with the second episode of the One Chunk Challenge. During the weekend I have been thinking what I wanted to do next, and since most of the Create mod starts at Cobblestone, I thought it only made sense to start with that, and go down from there. But before we go into that, I also thought of few things I should do first to fix a couple problems I had last episode. Starting with the steam engine. You see, normally if you place a vault, and an andesite funnel, that will only place one single bucket at a time, the spout then locks the bucket in place until it has enough lava to fill it. I thought the spout would always lock the buckets in place even if there are several of them, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. Often they glitch forward and get stuck in the funnel and the system stops working. I could have changed the entire belt and placed vaults instead, but I had a rather simple idea. If we just move this gearbox to the right side, which still works perfectly, and now we place a funnel here. When a filled bucket reaches the wall it should come back down and up again. This means we only need one single bucket for the entire setup, and there is not the issue of it getting stuck in the wall anymore. The next I thought of was fixing the elevator. For that I decided to place down a redstone contact, so whenever you reach a floor it stops. It's honestly very simple to do. As you can see in the screen we have the link from the wireless controller, and the link from the contact, both of them attached to a latch. Whenever the elevator reaches a floor it will stop, and then we fire it again from the controller, and that should make move again. Now, if we replace all of this, we remove this belt too, and we place the speed controller like so, reattach everything, and there you have it. This elevator should be working better now, and not at max speed anymore. It truly looks much better than what it was before. Oh wait. It doesn't seem to go back up again. Okay, I found the problem. The signal from the contact was constant, so the latch never had the chance to refire again. For that we're going to place some pulse repeaters in front, and that should do the trick. Now yes, it's working perfectly. The loud sounds of the engine were driving me crazy, so I have also added this mod called Extreme Sound Muffler. As you can see you can turn down any sound you want. In our case I'm turning down the steam engine. I'm in version 1.19, so I'm not completely sure what other version has it, but if you want it this is the name of it. With all of that out of the way, it's time to start making progress. Let's begin with the cobble generator. I thought about it, and I think given the narrow space we have, and especially because for no reason, I decided to put the elevator in the middle of it, our best option is to use Tango's cobble generator. I'm not a big fan of it, especially because it's noisy and it gets pretty damn laggy, but it's either that or placing down way too many drills in this tiny space. It's also incredibly easy to build. What I'm doing right now is placing a wall so the cobble falls down into the vault. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense right now, but you will see later why we need it. Next let's place down the chassis, and also let me explain something really quick. In order to avoid blocks getting glitched out on the sides, we need one line on each side without lava, but still water to flush it down. It doesn't matter if we use glass or anything else, blocks will always get stuck if we generate cobble here. Now we place all of the water above, and that should flush it nicely into the edge. As you can see here, the water reaches the chute, and that's not a good thing. It should be one block after the water to avoid any possible glitches. Also it shouldn't be a chute either, it should be a funnel. This is very important to know. If we're gathering items from a farm, chutes have an internal cooldown, while funnels will eat anything we threw at them at much higher speeds. In our case here, a chute won't be enough. This is why we want this wall, so we can put a funnel further down, to suck up all the cobble we make. Next is the pumps for the lava. I'm only placing them on the stone bricks, respecting the margins we'd made before with polished andesite. I'm also powering them really quick so they adjust to the movement. This way we can fix the directions on each of the pumps. This is really important too. I'm placing the lava 5 blocks away from this middle point here. Exactly 5 blocks, This way the lava will reach the corners, but it's not close enough so the pumps suck up the lava entirely. Of course this will depend on the sizes of the farm we're making, but fast right now, we want it 5 blocks away. Now I'm going to put the vault in place, add the funnels on top. And we're pretty much done with this section. I want to finish this side before we go further, that way I know more clearly how I'm going to connect everything up. All we need is a campfire to dry the kelp. I'm going to use a fan behind it, like so. With a vault and a funnel on this side. A funnel on the other side, with the basin underneath, and the press above. Then we output the materials with a belt below, and a vault to wrap it up. It looks okay enough, this is a pretty simple setup, but I'm not convinced, it doesn't leave enough room on the left, and I think it could be more efficient. Okay, so I'm going to remove this vault that we don't really need, and place the basin directly on it. That way we can move this vault closer to it. We reconnect this belt underneath, and now yes, it looks much better. We just need to connect things up with belts, like so. And we're pretty much done with this corner. So now back to the cobble generator. I'm going to extend the power from this side, and move it towards the pumps first. We need the first speed controller here for the pumps. I'll connect it with a chain, like so. Then the cog above to power them up, with a speed of 4 should be alright. We need to make sure it's a slow speed so it doesn't suck up the lava block. Now it's time for the piston that will move the chassis around. I'm thinking on placing it here. Let's place it with a 1 block gap, since we want to pull the contraption towards us. Now we need the gear shift on the side, and below we want a second speed controller. This one needs to be at exactly 96 RPM. It can't be slower nor faster or it will likely break the piston. For now I think I'm just going to connect it with a belt, like so. To finish this off we want to make a 4-tick clock, which is very easy to do. For that we need a repeater, some dust, and a redstone torch. We place down the torch on this side against the stone brick. Now the repeater at a delay of 4. Then we finish the cycle with dust. Oh wait, this repeater needs to face the other way. Now yes, we have the clock going. So if we place an extender, everything should work out. Perfect, it's working nicely. And you can see how much cobble it's generating. This really is the best way to do it if you don't mind it being laggy. So while I was decorating with some bricks, I realized that this belt is still not connected. I decided to take the power from here, and just extend some chains since we had casings here anyway. And this side it's also done. Now if I remove this block, we should see it working too. That's perfect. At first it's going to have too much kelp because it was running for a while. But the press should eventually catch up. Before we move forward, I wanted to put a switch on this kelp farm, otherwise it's always gonna be running. For the cart to start moving it needs a full block, so I'm going to place one of those lanterns from the chipped mod, I believe they are, since those don't count as full blocks. So now that the cart has stopped, let's take out this redstone block, and place it back, exactly 9 blocks away from the corner, since 8 blocks it's the limit on the rails. Now as you can see the rails are powered, but not the last one. So now if we place a full block again, and we set up a link, it should work as a switch. This looks perfect now. The next step I wanted to make for the base, it's an XP farm. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but because we're working on such a tiny space, even a spawner will give us pretty poor XP rates. Also I wanted to force myself to only use Create for this series. There is only one way to make XP with Create, and that's by farming silverfish with infested stone. Since we can haunt stone to convert it to infested stone. This means we need cobblestone, and since we just made the cobble generator, I thought it would be best to do it now rather than having to transport cobblestone later. I'm going to explain more or less the way it works, while we watch me build it in the background. The only stone block we can haunt is normal stone. That means we first need to smelt the cobblestone into normal stone. That is why I'm taking it out of the vault, and processing it in this little corner with the lava. The next step is to use a soul campfire in the same way as we would use a normal campfire to dry the kelp, or the lava we used before. It was tricky to make it all fit against the wall, but it will be important to make it as flat as we can. With all of that done, I decided to make all the materials upwards, and make use of a vault up here to distribute all the stone with chutes. The way this is going to work is as follows. This vault will distribute the infested stone evenly along the deployers. But I'm going to prevent that from happening by placing a layer of chassis underneath. Next, I'm going to connect that chassis to a minecart rail, and to demonstrate this, I'm going to place a button. So if I turn the assembler on, the entire chassis becomes an entity. This means the deployers are able to place down the infested stone, but because the assemblers goes offline immediately, the chassis becomes blocks again, breaking all the infested stone that was in its place. Since we have very little space to work with, I decided to move the silverfish around, making use of some belts. They are much faster than water, and it allows us to make turns much easily. Because the elevator is in the middle, I decided to move the silverfish along this wall. This is where the silverfish will end up, and we're going to kill them through the glass with the use of an armor stand, since those little things can go through any holes. Now all we need to do is wall of the belt so the silverfish don't go everywhere, and decorate it a little bit so it actually looks like a base. While I'm building in the background, I wanted to take this moment to thank you if you made it this far into the video. I appreciate so much all the support I have been receiving lately. I would also love to know if the humans enjoy this kind of explaining while I'm building kind of videos, or if you would prefer if I build it all, and just explained it at the end. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps me grow the channel immensely. The next thing on the list is to make a circuit for the minecart. We need it to constantly phase in and out of contraption, so it constantly breaks down the infested blocks. I figured out it takes 4 ticks to phase in and out, so I made a similar circuit like before, but this time it's a loop with 2 pulse extenders, so it's always 4 ticks online, and 4 ticks offline. It's important that both are 4 ticks long. Also, I ended up using a latch, so I can turn it off entirely, otherwise it's gonna be spamming entities. And this is the end result. Pause the video if you want to copy it. I made myself a sword with sweeping edge to show you how it works. First, we flick this lever to turn the farm online. That will start spamming silverfish quite frequently, and the belts will move them all up to this little spot. Now all we need to do is hit the armor stand facing the silverfish, and the sword will hit through the glass like in a raid farm. As you can see, the XP rates are quite high, probably better than a normal ender farm. The last thing I wanted to build this week is processing cobblestone into iron. So at least we have the first stage complete. This is probably no mystery for anyone, but I will explain it as we go in case someone doesn't know how it works. We basically want to take the cobblestone we have from the farm above, and using crushing wheels we convert it into gravel. I decided to place another vault below so we have some buffer for later parts, and also because it's easier to move blocks around. Once we have the gravel, we want to wash it down with a fan and water. That will give us flint and iron nuggets. We will move the iron nuggets to the side, and making use of a basin with a press we compact them into iron nuggets, and that's pretty much it really. Iron, it's incredibly easy to produce with Create. I wish I had more time to build more stuff, but we really ended up doing a lot this episode, and I pretty much ran out of time. I did decorated things a little bit, and polished some details here and there, so let me show you how it looks. First, we fixed this elevator, and improved it with the redstone contacts, which I think it's pretty much perfect now. We got this little wall section over here to process the kelp, where I also added this lever to turn on and off the farm from down here. Up there is the cobble generator, which is very laggy and noisy, but it produces lots and lots of cobblestone, which of course I added a lever to so we can turn it off. Back here I decided to add some barrels and few decorations to organize the enchanting books. And of course the mighty XP farm, with an enchanting setup for when we need it. This farm is rather satisfying to use, not gonna lie. I also added this neat little detail, in case the anvil breaks, there is a deployer with plenty of anvils in the back. At the other side I decided to place this vault to store the iron, with a little barrel to access it. The belt above is to move cobblestone around, since we gonna need it soon to produce diorite. This ended up being a rather small setup, but it's actually able to consume all the gravel we are producing right now. I also added these chutes down here to move the cobble and iron for when we start making diorite and andesite alloys. But this is pretty much it for today. I hope the humans enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. It's really fun to figure out how to make things in such little space. Leave a comment with what you think I should do next time. Take care everyone, and until the next time,